We've come so far with these two. A man who walked away from everything, a woman who believed in him when no one else did, and now a family waiting for him to come home. The morning James is supposed to arrive, Diep wakes to find her mother already in the kitchen. The sun isn't up yet, but her mother is moving quietly, efficiently, preparing. On the counter, vegetables washed and sorted, fish cleaned and ready, rice soaking. The kind of meal that takes all day to cook properly. "Mom," Diep says softly, "you didn't have to start so early." Her mother looks up. There are shadows under her eyes. She probably didn't sleep much. "I want it to be right," she says. For him, Diep understands. This isn't just dinner. This is an apology, an offering, a bridge being built one dish at a time. They work together as the sun rises. Ni wakes and finds them both in the kitchen, already deep into preparations. "Is today the day?" she asks, still sleepy. "Today's the day," Diep confirms. Ni is suddenly wide awake. "Dad's coming home." She wants to help, so they give her small tasks. Arranging the decorations she made, setting the table, testing the jam to make sure it's perfect. Her grandmother shows her how to fold the napkins, a skill from another lifetime when Diep's mother worked in a restaurant in the city. Ni concentrates hard, tongue between her teeth, determined to get it right. "Like this, Grandma?" "Me. Perfect, my dear." Just like that. By noon, the house smells like home, like comfort, like all the meals Diep remembers from childhood before everything got complicated. Her mother moves through the kitchen like she's conducting an orchestra, timing everything so it'll be ready when James walks through the door. At 2 o'clock, James calls. "I'm about an hour away." Diep's heart jumps. "We'll be ready." "Diep?" He pauses. "Is she still there? Your mother?" "She's here." Another pause. "Good. That's good." When she hangs up, her mother is watching her. "He's nervous," Diep says. "So am I." They look at each other. Two women who've spent the last week learning how to be family again, now about to see if that family can stretch to include the man who changed everything. "He's a good man, Mom," Diep says quietly. "You'll see." Her mother nods, goes back to the stove. But Diep catches the way her hands shake slightly as she stirs. At 2:30, Ni stations herself by the window. "I'll watch for him," she announces. "I'll be the lookout." So they wait. Diep and her mother in the kitchen, making last adjustments. Ni at the window, nose pressed to the glass. The food simmering. The table set. Everything ready. At 3:15, Ni shouts, "I see him! He's here! Dad's here!" She runs to the door, flings it open. Diep wipes her hands on her apron and follows. Her mother stays in the kitchen, giving them this moment first. James is walking up the path. He looks tired, thinner than when he left. His clothes are dusty from travel. His hair needs cutting. But when he sees Ni running toward him, his face transforms. He drops his bag and catches her as she jumps into his arms. "Dad! Dad! You're home!" "I'm home, sweetheart. I'm home." He holds her tight, face buried in her hair. Then he looks up and sees Diep standing in the doorway. Their eyes meet. Everything between them in that look, the worry, the distance, the choice to trust each other even when it was hard. He sets Ni down and walks to Diep. Doesn't say anything, just pulls her into his arms and holds on. "I missed you," he says against her hair. "I missed you too." They stand there for a long moment, Ni dancing around them, chattering about everything that's happened. Then James pulls back slightly. "Your mother?" "Inside," Diep says. "Cooking." James takes a breath. "Okay." Diep takes his hand. "Come on." They walk into the house together, Ni leading the way, announcing, "Dad's home! Dad's home!" James stops in the doorway, taking it all in. The decorations, the smell of cooking, the table set for four. And then Diep's mother appears from the kitchen. She's taken off her apron, smoothed her hair. Her hands are clasped in front of her, nervous, uncertain. For a moment, no one moves. James and Diep's mother, seeing each other for the first time. The man who took her daughter away from comfort. The woman who left when her daughter needed her most. Then Diep's mother speaks. James. Her voice is quiet but steady. Welcome home. James doesn't answer right away. He's looking at her mother the way he looked at business contracts back when he worked for his father, careful, assessing. Diep feels the tension in his hand, still holding hers. Ma'am, he says finally. Polite. Distant. Diep's mother flinches slightly at the formality, but she nods. I've made dinner. If you're hungry. I am. Thank you. Still polite, still distant. Diep's heart sinks. This is going to be harder than she thought. They sit down to eat. 4 of them around the small table that usually holds 3. James sits next to Diep, knee beside him, Diep's mother across. The food is beautiful, more than Diep's seen in months. Her mother must have spent everything she had on this meal. Nee fills the silence with chatter, telling James about grandma's stories, about the market, about learning to make jam. James listens, responds, but Diep can feel the weight of what he's not saying. The questions he's holding back for Nee's sake. Her mother serves the food, piles James's plate high. You look thin, she says. You need to eat. Thank you, ma'am. You can call me. She stops. What should he call her? She abandoned her daughter. She doesn't have the right to ask for intimacy. Whatever you're comfortable with. James nods, doesn't commit either way. They eat. The food is good, better than good. Diep's mother has poured everything she knows into this meal, James notices. This is excellent, he says. Still polite, still careful. I'm glad. Her mother's voice is small. After dinner, Nee asks James about the factory. He tells her, simplifying for a 7-year-old, but his eyes light up when he talks about the machines working, the first batch of wood processed, the workers learning. Diep watches him come alive. This is what he needed. Not his father's company handed to him, something he built with his own hands. When Nee starts yawning, Diep takes her to get ready for bed. Leaves James and her mother alone in the main room. She takes her time with Nee's bath, giving them space. But she can hear the silence from the other room, heavy, uncomfortable. When Nee's in bed, Diep comes back out. James and her mother are sitting on opposite sides of the room, not talking, just existing in the same space, uncertain. Nee wants you to say goodnight, Diep tells James. He stands immediately, grateful for the escape. Of course. When he's gone, Diep sits next to her mother. He'll come around. He has every right to be angry. Her mother's voice is flat. I left you. I left his wife. You came back. Too late. Ah, Mom. It's okay, Diep. Her mother manages a smile. I knew this wouldn't be easy. I just hoped. She stops. I'll clean up. You should be with your husband. Diep finds James sitting on the edge of Nee's sleeping mat, watching their daughter sleep. She sits beside him. For a moment, they just exist together. Her head on his shoulder, his arm around her. I don't trust her, James says finally. Quiet, so Nee won't wake. I want to, for you, but I don't. I know. She left you, Diep, when you needed her, when we needed her. His voice is tight with old anger. And now she's back because why? Because the factory worked? Because we're not starving anymore? That's not why. You don't know that. He turns to look at her. I gave up everything for you. My father's company, my inheritance, my family. I walked away from all of it because you were worth more. And she walked away from you because I wasn't enough. Diep's throat tightens. James, I'm trying, Diep. I'm trying to be okay with this. But every time I look at her, I remember what she did. how she hurt you. His hand tightens on hers. How am I supposed to forgive that? Diep doesn't have an answer. Because he's right. Her mother did leave, did hurt her, did think James would ruin her life. And maybe, if the factory had failed, her mother wouldn't be here at all. But she's here now. And Diep's spent the last week watching her mother try, watching her grandmother with knee, watching her build something from the wreckage of her own mistakes. She's trying, Diep says finally. That's all I can tell you. She's trying. James is quiet for a long time. Then, for you, I'll try too. But Diep, she needs to earn this. You understand? She doesn't get forgiveness just because she showed up. I know. They sit together until Nie's breathing deepens into true sleep. Then they go to their own mat. Lie down together. James holds her tight, tighter than usual, like he's afraid she'll disappear if he lets go. In the morning, James is different. Not warm exactly, but present. He thanks Diep's mother for breakfast, asks her about her plans, listens when she answers. It's surface level, polite conversation. But it's conversation. After breakfast, Diep's mother announces she's going to the market. We need more supplies for tonight's dinner. I'll come with you, James says suddenly. Everyone stops. Diep's mother blinks. You don't have to. I want to. His voice is firm. I'd like to talk. If that's all right. Her mother looks at Diep. Diep nods. And just like that, they're walking out the door together. James and her mother. Alone. Diep watches them go, her stomach in knots. Nie tugs on her sleeve. Are they going to be okay, Mom? I hope so, sweetheart. They're gone for 2 hours. Diep tries to work sorting fruit, cleaning, anything to keep her hands busy. But her mind keeps wandering. What are they saying? Is James angry? Is her mother crying? Is everything falling apart? When they finally return, both carrying baskets of groceries, Diep can't read their faces. Her mother looks tired, but calm. James looks thoughtful, uncertain. Mom? Diep asks. Her mother sets down her basket, touches Diep's arm gently. We talked. And? James speaks. She told me everything, why she left, what she was afraid of, what she regrets. He pauses. I'm not ready to call her family yet, but I understand now why she did what she did. Diep looks at her mother. Her mother nods. I told him the truth, that I was wrong, that I let fear make my choices. Her voice cracks slightly. And I told him that the best thing I ever did was raise a daughter strong enough to choose love over fear. That evening, they cooked together, all of them. James awkward in the kitchen, but willing to try. Diep's mother teaching him how to season the fish properly. Nie laughing when James drops a spoon. Diep watching her whole family work together. It's not perfect. James and her mother are still careful around each other, still finding their footing. But it's something. It's a start. They eat dinner as the sun sets. The meal is simple, nothing like yesterday's feast. But somehow, it feels more real, more true. James tells stories about the factory, about the workers, about Tung's terrible jokes. Diep's mother actually laughs. Nie asks a million questions. After dinner, they sit together in the main room. Nie curled up against James, fighting sleep. Diep's mother watching them with something like wonder in her eyes. I was wrong about you, Joe, she says suddenly to James. I thought you'd break her heart, take everything and leave nothing. She pauses. But you gave everything, and you're still giving. James doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is quiet. I love her. That's all I know how to do. It's enough. Diep's mother's eyes are wet. More than enough. Nie finally falls asleep. James carries her to bed, tucks her in carefully. When he comes back, Diep's mother has made tea. They sit together awkward still, but less so. Comfortable silence instead of tense silence. "The factory," her mother says. "Tell me about it. Really tell me." So James does, about the machines, the challenges, the workers he's training, about his plans, his hopes, his fears that it might not work. Diep's mother listens, really listens, asks good questions, questions that show she understands what he's trying to build. "Your father," she says finally, "does he know about the factory?" James's jaw tightens. "No, we don't talk. Maybe you should." Her mother's voice is gentle. "I left Diep, and I regret it every day. Don't let pride steal time you can't get back." And James looks at her. "Are you really going to lecture me about family?" It's harsh, Diep winces, but her mother doesn't flinch. "Yes," she says simply, "because I know what it costs, and I don't want you to pay the same price." James is quiet for a long moment. Then he nods. "I'll think about it." They sit together until late, talking less but easier. When Diep's mother finally excuses herself to sleep, James pulls Diep close. "I'm trying," he whispers. "For you. I'm trying. And I know. Thank you." The next few days settle into a rhythm. James helps at the factory in the mornings. It's close enough that he can go and return the same day. Afternoons, he's home, helping with the jam, playing with Nee, slowly, carefully building something with Diep's mother. One evening, Diep finds them sitting together, her mother teaching James her grandmother's jam recipe, the one she never wrote down, just knew by heart. James is taking notes, asking questions. Her mother is patient, thorough. "Why are you teaching me this?" James asks. "This, because..." Her mother doesn't look at him, keeps stirring. "Because you're family, and family passes things down." James stops writing. "Family? If you'll have me." Her mother's voice is small. "I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway." James sets down his pen, looks at this woman who left her daughter, who came back, who's been trying so hard to make amends. "My father cut me off when I married Diep," he says quietly, "told me I was dead to him. And I thought that was what family did. Rejected you when you made choices they didn't like." "That's not family," Diep's mother says. "That's pride. Family is..." She stops, starts again. "Family is coming back. Even when you're ashamed. Even when you're scared. Family is trying. Like you're trying now. Like I'm trying." Din. She meets his eyes. "I won't ask you to forgive me, James. But I'm asking you to let me stay. Let me be part of this. Let me be the mother I should have been from the start." James is quiet. Then he picks up his pen. "The jam," he says. "You said 2 cups of sugar?" Her mother's breath catches. 2.5. For this amount of fruit. 2.5. James repeats, writing it down. "Got it." They keep working, and Diep, watching from the doorway, feels something in her chest finally settle. Peace. Wholeness. Home. That night, after Nee's asleep, the 3 of them sit together. Diep's mother tells stories about Diep as a child. James tells stories about the factory. Diep just listens, watching the 2 people she loves most learn how to love each other. "Thank you," her mother says quietly to James, "for giving me another chance." "Thank you," James says, "for raising someone who taught me what love really means." They sit together until late. A family built from broken pieces. Not perfect, not without scars, but whole, together. Healing. The doubts were gone, the distance closed. In their place, 4 people around a table, 4 plates instead of 3, 4 voices instead of silence. James's hands were still rough from the factory. Diep's mother's eyes still held regret she'd carry forever. But Nee laughed, and the jam was sweet. And outside the small house, the night was quiet and full of stars. James pulled Diep close. Her mother watched them with something like peace in her eyes. And Nye, half asleep, murmured, We're all together now. All of us. Yes, Diep thought. All of us. This right here, right now, this was what all of it was for. Not the factory, not proving anyone wrong. Just this, a family, whole and healing, choosing each other every single day. And that was enough.